I love, obviously, the framing of gift and receptivity that John Paul II uses in Theology of the Body.
Yes.
We are gifts, the natural feminine ability to receive. And that's like physically the act of intimacy of sex. That's what it is. But it's also like this emotional, psychological, spiritual receptivity as well. But are you saying that you were really kind of trying to plumb the depths of that particular? Let me pull up the Bible verse about submission really quick.
Ephesians 5.
Was Ephesians 5 really
Yes.
what you were wrestling with?
Yes, and I don't think I was wrestling with it personally in the sense because I had witnessed my parents and it was healthy. I didn't feel threatened by it, but I would notice that sometimes like priests, when that epistle would come around, priests were tended to be hesitant. Either they skipped it. There's even at one point there was something bracketed out where like they didn't have to say that part. And then if they did have the courage to preach on it, they would usually spend most of the homily sort of cushioning it by saying, yes, but look at the men, they're called to give and to lay down their life, which is, again, wonderful, huge, risky. This is everything. Like this is actually what men need to be like dwelling on is that call. Wow. Right.
What about the women? We have to do our part.
Then what does it mean? But I thought if all you keep saying is that he is called to make sacrificial gift, then logic dictates the response to a gift is receiving. And so what does that look like? And what are some things that even in our fallen nature as women kind of inhibit our receptivity, right? What can we work on? You sort of want bride and groom to be asking, what can I work on? So when you hear a young man saying, I can't wait to be head of the house, I want a woman who will submit, that sometimes can come off as a little bit alarming because instead of saying, how can I find a woman who will submit? You don't need to worry about that just yet. Let's worry about what can I bring? What do I have to offer? And how can I lay it down? How can I serve her? And she's going to be moved by that and she's going to respect that. And I'm telling you, most women are going to want to receive that. But again, sometimes we ourselves haven't done enough self-examination. And sometimes we can hurt and wound the men in our lives and dismiss them. And because we don't realize when we fail to be receptive, how they experience that. Because their identity is very bound up in what they have to offer. And again, that's sort of something that I tie in that goes in with our physical differences as well, right? A man, his physical design is meant to be generative. It's to act on the world beyond himself. Physically, our design is uniquely to receive and nurture something inwardly, literally, physically, right? And so recognizing that so much of a man's identity is bound up in what he does. Whereas for us, it's more interior, right? We have different body, I don't want to say different body-soul relationships, but that's sort of how Edith Stein says it. She says a man tends to view his body in some ways as an instrument. That's not totally false. Our body has an instrumental quality. Women tend to identify with our bodies, right? We get that we see a body, we see a person. There's something very beautiful about that. But there can be something dangerous about that too. We can think that we're just a body. But these are two different emphases that come out in the gift dynamic, right? If we don't receive well what he's offering, we're not receiving him well. So I think that in this dynamic, I was personally intrigued by its beauty and depth. I wanted to know more in an intellectual way, if I could explain it better, because there was people that were saying, oh, that's not a thing. Submission, it's not a thing. But why couldn't anybody tell me what it meant? And so then I would incorporate it. There is, when I would teach my course on John Paul's Theology of the Body, he touches on it in his Theology of the Body. He says a few really important things, but it's not the bulk of it. But so I sort of felt inspired to keep explaining. So I had students ask me, what is this? What is this? And people would ask me to give talks on it. I didn't even know why. It kept coming to me. And so over time, with the questions and with the challenges, this book came out. I really like, it wasn't that I was struggling personally, but then looking back at my own marriage, I could see, oh, that's why I hurt my husband's feelings when I said that. Or, oh, that's why that made such a difference to him. You know, things that maybe I was doing instinctively or things I didn't do. And I realized, oh, this is why. So my book is sort of a combination. It's scholarly, but it's also practical. And it's also like, I think there was, personal. I think if I tried to write this 25 years ago, oh Lord, I don't even want to know. Right. Because I think it was definitely formed by my experience and of trying to be a good wife and failing and trying again. So
I have noticed what you're saying earlier is this fear of even talking about a woman's role.
I know.
because we're so quick to say, well, yes, women has a role, but men do too. What about the men? What do they have to do? And you can also get a woman's role really wrong.
Yes.
And I think that's part of where the fear comes in, because it has been used in a way to humiliate and harm in some ways historically. And it also has been used today in a way to, liberate to a way where we become these dominating, really horrible maniacs. I mean,
Yes.
the empowered woman today, according to kind of mainstream narratives, is like abortion on demand, sleep with whoever I want. I'm not going to submit to a man. Children are a burden. Maybe I'll have one or two, but I'm going to have my career, and that's the most important thing. And I can do whatever I want. And it's all about me, 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 me. And it's exhausting, quite frankly. It's not life-giving for women, because it's not how we were designed. But then there's this flip side of like, well, then you're just going to be the little Susie Q homemaker that has no autonomy, no interests, no desires outside of just this like very exhausting day in, day out toil. And you have this domineering husband or this no good husband that you have to submit to. So it's like, he's like,
yes,
if those are the
there's
options,
these extremes.
like,
and how do we,
yeah.
right? How do I live? Because both of those look pretty scary.
Yes.
And again, I think it's my opinion that at least the giving, receiving languages, it takes a little bit, it helps to make a distinction, because it also says, okay, what is a gift, right? Hopefully that would discount things like abuse, right? Abuse, verbal or physical, right? That is not a gift, right? If anything, that robs, it robs a woman of her dignity. That's not a gift, right? You don't have to submit to abuse.